So City Skylines 2 now has a brand new development tree that lets you customize exactly how your city develops and what technologies are available to you first. However, this system can really trip you up in terms of actually getting your economy to function correctly, because a lot of these buildings you unlock are super expensive in the early game and you don't really want to be wasting development points on them. So after all the time I put into the game now, I found there is definitely a kind of meta progression to follow, at least up until your 4th milestone, and once you pass that milestone you can start being a little more free within your choices as to what you do spend these new development points on. Let's get started, shall we? So you've now arrived at Tiny Village and now have your first development point to spend. And there's a few options available to you across roads, power and electric, water and sewage, healthcare, deathcare and garbage collection. However, at this point in the city, your economy cannot support these larger buildings' upkeep, so putting any points into them now is kind of useless. So the first thing I definitely suggest grabbing would be the advanced road services. This is going to let you deal with traffic lights, pedestrian crossings, turning lanes and whatnot. So definitely be grabbing advanced road services first. You could also go for roundabouts, but they're not essential. Your traffic will be fine without them in the foreseeable, and you can still draw your own roundabouts anyway, and we don't yet have enough development points to get parking areas, so definitely grab advanced road services first, which is going to unlock your road services tab where you can do a variety of things, including turning on and off traffic lights. You can also remove the turns from specific lanes here now as well, especially if you do have slip lanes set up for your system. So on this particular junction right here, there is no reason for them to turn right. So you can optimize your traffic quite nicely by doing this, so 100% definitely unlock your advanced road services beforehand. And you can also come through and beautify some streets as well if you wish, with grass and tree lined roads, just to help start beautifying your city nice and early on. But you get a lot of useful tools with this. You can go ahead and place down the road maintenance depot eventually, but you don't need it right at the start of the city. It is quite an expense, so bear that one in mind a little bit later on. At the second milestone of Small Village, you're going to get 2 further development points, so let's head over to our progression panel. Now there's a couple of things you can unlock here. Education is very important for making money, especially since you're taxing residential based on education level now, and unlocking the college only costs 1 development point. However, it's not essential at this stage in the city yet. Maybe towards the 4th milestone you want to consider grabbing college, but the same rule still rings true here. You don't need to worry about incineration plants or garbage or healthcare yet. All these buildings are way too expensive for our economy to handle. So come back into your roads, and at this point I would definitely recommend grabbing parking areas, purely because you can actually make money out of them by charging people to park on them, which will help just bolster your very early and sometimes fragile city economy. You could also grab highways as well for some more refined lane management and doing cool slip lanes, but again, with the city at its current size, you don't really need it. It's a nice bonus to have, but my advice here, second milestone, you have 2 development points, go ahead and get yourself some parking areas, and then this will now unlock your parking tab within your roads menu, where you can start placing down parking lots in and around your commercial, for example. And then you can come in here and you can now adjust your parking fees, which will earn you a little more money, and you can start placing these as early on as your second milestone. So my advice would be definitely to get parking areas as your second unlock within the development tree. Now we arrive at our 3rd milestone, which is Large Village, which gives us 3 development points to spend within our tech tree. So let's head over there. So at this point, Fire and Rescue and Police Administration also become available. So you could continue to funnel development points into your road networks here, but I'd say for the time being, the city doesn't need this much of a heavy road infrastructure. So I would possibly save these last few points here for another time whenever you decide you need highways or large roads. So I'll consider spending your next point on the welfare office, which will give financial support for lower income sims. So if they can't afford to pay taxes and you're getting a lot of warnings saying that, you know, rent is too high, etc., then the welfare office will help those uneducated and poorly educated parts of your population actually maintain an income. So this can be a really good one to unlock next. Other than that, education is only going to become increasingly more important for your economy, so college is also a good investment here too. And the same rule still applies to water, electricity, healthcare, deathcare and garbage. All these buildings are way too expensive for your economy to support yet, so don't worry about them. So for me here, I'm going to grab the welfare office at level 3, and I'm also going to grab the college as well, just so I have them. And I'm actually going to save this extra development point here for milestone 4, where we will unlock parks and recreation, and I'll funnel an extra development point into that. So for milestone 3, I'm grabbing the college and I'm grabbing welfare office. And we now arrive at the 4th milestone of Grand Village, where we get 4 extra development points. However, we do have 1 left over from the previous milestone, so we have a total of 5 to play with. So at this point, public transport and parks and recreation also unlock, which is really interesting. I would certainly suggest grabbing trains first of all, so you can start planning in those train networks. One of the most important methods of public transport that you'll use, and it's so much better that it's unlocked really early now compared to how it was in Cities Skylines 1. So definitely be playing with trains in your city as soon as possible, get them unlocked. And then parks and recreation is also really good for happiness and detailing, and you do have 3 points left to spend, so you can grab either sports parks or large parks. I'll grab large parks personally. And then you do have 1 development point left over, which at this point you can probably head back and grab roundabouts if you want to. Or again, if you want to save it to carry over for maybe sports parks for the next milestone and get large sports parks, then you can do that. But otherwise, to me, I'm probably going to spend this last development point here on getting roundabouts unlocked for the city. So far at the 4th milestone, we have unlocked advanced road services, parking areas, college, trains, park maintenance and large parks, or you could also go for sports parks instead of large, and then finally roundabouts. Now once you do hit milestone 4, this is where you can really start to kind of diversify exactly how you begin to specialize your city. For example, if you're playing on a really water heavy map like Archipelago Haven or Lakeland or Barrier Island, then maybe you'd want to go down and specialize into water so you can get your ferry ports and cargo harbors and whatnot. Because obviously if you're on a map that doesn't have a sea connection, then this wouldn't be that useful, so this is where it really starts to branch off for a lot of different people, depending what you want to build and what your map is like. I've gone up to about 40,000 population without needing any of the garbage management stuff, the water treatment plant and the power plants. You don't really need these, again, up until about 40-50k population, at least in my experience. If you want to go ahead and put all the income into a gas power plant, then you can do, but it's just not particularly necessary. I'd definitely kind of go down to public transport first, but that's my personal preference. So really, after the 4th milestone, you can begin to diversify how your city develops and what you want to spend those development points on. But definitely during the early game, I would follow what we've done in this video with roundabouts, advanced road services, parking areas. Get college as well, because don't forget in cities too, your taxation for residential is based upon education level. So you really want to make sure that you can provide those higher levels of education, so you begin to tax them much higher than the lower ones. And again, even stuff like firehouses, I haven't really found a need to unlock the main fire station away from just using the one that unlocks as the milestone pops as the firehouse. The fires just aren't that impactful in cities too, so in my opinion it's a little bit of a waste of 2 development points when you can spend on public transport or parks, or parking areas, things that are going to actually make you money if you wanted to get involved in more parking down here, and you can do. But that's been my experience of it. That's definitely what I'd focus on unlocking first. Let me know what you're planning to do with your development trees. Do you have a specific path in mind of how you want your city to develop? But this has been my kind of best practices that I've found after about 120 hours in the game now. So I hope you found it useful. If you have, there's many more Cities 2 tutorials on the channel. Do go check them out if you're interested. There's a playlist for them as well. And don't forget to check out our map day video too. All available on the channel alongside lots more Cities Skylines 1 and 2 content. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.